Hi everyone, welcome to Michelle and the Money. This is all about your money, from consumer to business news across the bi-state. We are starting in North City, where residents are demanding answers as the city admits that tornado recovery efforts have been pretty slow. Dozens of people met at the O'Fallon Recreation Complex this week to face the mayor. And as 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon explains, they wanted to know when the millions of dollars in promised aid will actually reach their doorsteps.
9 months since the EF3 tornado tore through North City, for many the view has not changed.
You can't tell that anything has been done. You see a lot of tarps, you see a lot of devastation.
I recognize that the most important question that we get is, where is the money? So I want to actually just start.
That was the primary concern Tuesday night at the O'Fallon Recreation Complex. City leaders revealed there is $13 million available for repairs, another $270 million for demolition. But the mayor admits actually getting those funds to contractors has been a hurdle.
Absolutely. I mean, we are building programs from scratch, and while we've got, we're really focused on getting the applications in.
The city is currently vetting contractors and says large-scale work won't truly ramp up until March. While 3,200 people have initiated applications, only about 100 homes are currently in the pipeline for contract work.
Just from growing up in the area and just seeing what it was and to where it is now, it is very heartbreaking to still see it look like that.
The mayor says the city is prioritizing the most vulnerable residents ahead of others.
Making sure that folks that are still living in damaged homes are getting those funds first.
The city will provide a contractor up to $50,000 for repairs. Additional work would have to be supplemented from insurance or the homeowner. Officials say even if damage exceeds that cap, you should still apply to see if the property can at least be made habitable. If a home can't be salvaged, the city will demolish it for free at the property owner's request. Brent Solomon, 5 on Your Side.
The deadline to apply for the private property assistance program is February 28th, and if you are a renter, there is also help available, including one-time assistance equal to 1 month's rent. Well, right now we are in a partial government shutdown. This also means FEMA deployments are being suspended for any natural disasters. Homeland Security is also shut down, and Congress is out of town. So this means it is more likely with agencies like FEMA and the TSA, they could miss their paychecks. The shutdown stems from a debate over reforms Democrats are calling on for ICE and Border Patrol agents. However, those two agencies are still funded through President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Border Czar Tom Homan says the shutdown will not slow down their mission, while Democrats say they are looking for a deal.
The ICE officers won't be getting paid, but they're getting used to that, it seems like. So, no, the immigration mission, the reason why President Trump was elected to be president, continues.
We're willing to have a good faith conversation about everything, but fundamentally we need change that is dramatic, that is bold, that is meaningful, and that is transformational.
Lawmakers could return to D.C. early if a deal is reached. The U.S. Defense Secretary was in town this week to make a pretty big announcement. The Boeing Defense Space and Security Headquarters will be returning to St. Louis after years in Arlington, Virginia. Now, this comes just weeks after an historic strike that impacted more than 3,200 Boeing machinists in St. Louis as well. As Laura Barczewski explains, this puts St. Louis in the center of national security.
St. Louis, as was announced today, is now the defense capital.
For the last 9 years, Boeing's Defense, Space, and Security headquarters were in Arlington, Virginia, to be closer to the Pentagon. But for 20 years before that, they were right here in St. Louis. Governor Mike Kehoe says it's time for the department to come home.
This has an emotional tie to me to be here today for the announcement you're about to hear about the future of what's happening, not only for our warfighters, but for the entire defense industry and for our incredible team workforce that stands before me. You guys make St. Louis and our region proud.
The announcement of Boeing Defense's return coincides with U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's Arsenal of Freedom tour. He says national security depends on the speed and strength of manufacturing, done in part by more than 18,000 Boeing employees in our area.
Ensuring that our warfighters never fight in a fair fight, and they can't do that without you, without what is done here in building 75, which is essential to the arsenal of freedom.
Boeing says the move will strengthen the business and emphasizes the importance of everyone working side by side producing fighter jets and other defense systems.
And from us to you on your front, as it applies to peace through strength, that means less red tape, more incentives, and more speed on the factory floor.
In addition to defense headquarters, St. Louis is home to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, Scott Air Force Base, and the Advanced Manufacturing Innovation Center, currently under construction.
President Trump announced a goal of $1.5 trillion for our national security and defense in 2027.
Again, that was Laura Barczewski reporting there. Boeing defense employees with frequent business in Washington, D.C. will still be based in Arlington, Virginia. Missouri lawmakers are debating a new tax credit that could steer tens of millions of dollars toward converting empty office towers into housing. The bill will create a new 25% state tax credit for converting vacant office buildings into housing. Now, that credit could stack on top of existing state and federal historic tax credits, but in a project like the AT&T Tower, with renovation costs estimated at $350 million, public incentives could approach 70% of qualified rehab expenses. The program would be capped at $50 million statewide per year.
So I wouldn't say it's necessarily, a developer getting a handout. And I look at it as an investment in the city's future.
This revenue would be captured and put back into the business to reinvest in their infrastructure and their business.
Supporters say it could unlock stalled projects and stabilize downtown property values. Opponents, though, question how much risk taxpayers should absorb. For St. Louis, the vote in Jeff City may help determine whether these towers remain monuments to the past or foundations for the next chapter. All right, this week, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker gave his State of the State address. He talked about the economy and tackling high prices for consumers. He also took aim at big tech companies, proposing an annual fee on social media platforms to fund K-12 education.
Those companies are profiting from online engagement of Illinois' consumers, and they currently contribute nothing to ameliorate the negative effects of their platforms. Parents and kids deserve to have better funded schools. And if social media giants are going to feed off of Illinois families, they ought to support Illinois families.
Well, he also called for a pause on new tax breaks for large data centers while the state studies their impact on energy demand. In the meantime, let's talk about it. Lower taxes, stable power bills, a stronger community. A paid ad in a local newspaper is promising big benefits for Missouri families when it comes to data centers. However, the group behind the ad won't say who they are. And the county executive, whose words are featured, says he doesn't know either. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, started asking questions about who's really behind the push for data centers in Jefferson County.
Steel towers hum in Jefferson County. Electricity pours through a substation the size of a football field. Nearby, the Mississippi keeps moving, wide, brown, relentless. All of it feeds a growing appetite.
I would like to think that what we do here could be a model for the future.
County leaders say the demand is authentic, and the developers?
If they come in, schools will benefit.
They want to build data centers, big enough to power your phones, to stream videos, to store pictures on the cloud, and provide instant access to artificial intelligence.
Developers need to pay their cost.
In this quiet government hallway, planners are eyeing possible projects, construction that could impact your power bill, your water, your land.
Who is driving data center expansion in Missouri?
I don't know who's driving the data center expansion.
The county executive says he doesn't know who's pushing hardest for this kind of growth, or whether local government is equipped to handle the surge.
I don't know exactly what their demand's going to be.
As demand grows and debate grows louder, a paid ad quietly appears in the pages of a local paper. It promises jobs, tax dollars, and no higher utility rates.
Do you remember seeing this in the paper?
Sure. And I don't even know who those folks are.
The words are his. The ad is not. At the bottom, a clue. The group behind the ad calls itself Missourians for Data and Technology Advancement, MoData. But no names, no donors, no registration anywhere in the Show Me State. In fact, the trail leads out of state to Delaware and stops cold. So we went to the original source, the local paper, and just asked. An editor says the ad was placed by Axiom Strategies, a national political consulting and lobbying firm.
It is very easy for entities that want to pour money into an issue campaign to conceal or completely obscure where the money is coming from.
On campus at WashU's law school, Greg Megarian studies that quiet space where free speech meets political money.
Knowing the identity of the messenger is an important component of political information.
But here, the group's name told us little.
The purpose of public disclosure should be to actually convey meaningful information to people who do not have the time and resources to dig deep and ask, Mo data, what the heck is that?
Why the big mystery?
I think these companies that are ultimately the money behind this stuff are making a calculation that we're going to do better fighting off anger at the secrecy than we would do fighting off anger at us.
This community fears the public thirst for artificial intelligence might drink their public resources dry. And soon they'll make big decisions that will last decades about power, about water, about land. The power players pushing their clients' message say there's real demand, and there at the bottom, a real disclosure that discloses nothing. The public may demand artificial intelligence. They're getting it. And artificial transparency to go with it. Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
City officials in Festus tell us that they are still waiting to see specific commitments in writing from developers and the big tech companies before moving forward with building a data center there. A massive settlement could soon bring new compensation to thousands of people diagnosed with cancer. This case involves Bayer's Roundup, and attorneys Chris Seeger and Eric Holland called the proposed multi-billion-dollar agreement with Bayer a historic step toward justice for people diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. More than 40,000 cases have been filed nationwide, and under this proposal, up to $3 billion would be available over the first 5 years. Individual awards reach nearly $200,000, but are based on exposure and diagnosis.
It's NHL, which includes, and I've got a short list of the types, but there are many subtypes of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So if it's got the word lymphoma in it, it is likely to be something that would be considered in the settlement.
Bayer CEO says the company is not admitting fault, but calls the deal a move to lift the litigation burden. They say glyphosate is safe and it is not carcinogenic. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg testified in a social media trial this week that is getting a lot of attention around the globe. Now, a woman is suing, saying that Instagram and YouTube purposely have features to make young users addicted. Now, she says she became addicted as a child, and it hurt her mental health by causing anxiety, body dysmorphia, and suicidal thoughts. She also says she experienced bullying and sextortion. Meta is arguing that her tough life, rather than social media, harmed her mental health, but parents say they want accountability.
They take a vulnerable child. Well, all kids are vulnerable. Their self-esteem and what girls face, especially on these platforms, is horrifying to have to go through that, and it really has created such a huge mental health crisis in this country.
Zuckerberg argued that increasing time spent on Instagram is not a company goal. This is the first lawsuit of its kind, though, to go to trial, and a jury will decide this case. And get this, there are more than 1,500 similar lawsuits. A consumer alert right now. Police say scammers are stealing from those looking to buy a new car in Kirkwood. 5 on your side's Melanie Johnson shows you how to spot that scam.
Kirkwood police issuing a too good to be true warning. Detectives say scammers stole the address of a local business to steal thousands of dollars from car buyers for cars that don't exist. The scam involves a fraudulent website, gcapeauto.com. While Gerard Cape Auto is a real company, investigators say this specific website is a total fake. Kirkwood PD taking to social media saying, quote, the scam involves victims being asked to prepay for vehicles with promises of a 10-day full inspection period, low-cost vehicle transportation at 60 cents per mile, and refund guarantees. Police say the bogus site also lists a Kirkwood address, which is a real business location. However, the people working inside have nothing to do with the scam. Employees there tell police victims showed up at their front door looking for cars they had already paid for. The vehicles were nowhere to be found. Police say if you are a victim, if you shared personal information or sent money, to give them a call. In Kirkwood, Melanie Johnson, 5 on your side.
Kirkwood police say to avoid becoming victims, you should always try to verify dealers, never pay up front using wire transfers, crypto, and non-traditional methods. And you should also be skeptical of suspiciously low rates or excessive guarantees. A federal judge is ruling that slot style machines found in convenience stores are illegal in Missouri. The ruling cites an earlier jury verdict against Torch Electronics, saying that its games meet Missouri's definition of illegal gambling devices. Torch says it plans to appeal the decision. The Missouri House has given initial approval to a bill replacing unregulated devices with a state-run video lottery system. Well, if you watch this stream and this show, you know that we use this time together to talk about the biggest money issues in our area. And now we are also launching a podcast to help go a little deeper. And in our first episode of Michelle and the Money, we are looking at the top 5 retirement myths that could cost you big time. Let's talk about some of the myths for retirement, because really this could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars for folks.
Yeah, I think the biggest myth is that people rely on the stock market for too much. And one of my favorite sayings when it comes to retirement planning is a plan with a goal without a plan is just a wish, because you're wishing for it to happen. And if you have a plan and you know where your money is going to come from and how you're going to use it and what the taxes are going to look like, it alleviates a lot of stress.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm on that wish plan right
now.
Everybody
is until they sit down and do it.
Well, you can watch the full episode with Jeff Sachs from Sachs Financial anytime on demand right here on the KSDK app. Just search for Michelle on the Money. All right, as prices at the checkout remain stubbornly high, some St. Louis families are turning to some pretty unique ways to save money. And social media is making the liquidation market more popular than ever as shoppers turn to bulk and chance for savings.
I get asked all the time, hey Jody, where do you get these big pallets? So we got a juicer.
If you're scrolling on social media, you've likely come across a growing number of accounts making mystery shopping so much fun.
Oh wow. We got some pink shoes.
Jody Lytle, or the Pallet Princess, is an OG. She's based in Michigan, but I came across her page when she found unclaimed packages from St. Louis.
The best thing to do is to find a local wholesaler and go pick out your own pallet. And it's always a gamble, but you can kind of, if you pick it out yourself, you can, it's easier to tell what you're getting.
Will Smith is doing exactly that. He's shopping pallet after pallet at 4 CHB liquidations in St. Peters. It's short for Crazy Happy Buys.
I started off as a customer just trying to save some money and no business plans. Like, I have my eye on this one.
He's looking for hot deals from big box stores that unleash their returns or overstock. It's now become his job. He runs his own discount store.
I think it helps out a lot of people because right now everybody's tight on money with the economy the way it is. Everybody want to save a little bit, and everybody loves a deal.
So this would be like a general merchandise, smaller item type of pallet.
Yeah. You would buy this whole thing, right?
You would buy the whole thing, and it would be for someone that wants a lot of items. Like say they want shelf filler, or they have like some bins.
Or flea
Or
market.
a flea market person.
Bob and Kelly LaRosa started this business as a side hustle, leaving corporate life behind.
Some loads are good for us, and some loads are not good.
And then when you get a not good load, what do?
Grind.
We gotta sell
work through it.
Work through it.
Even
if
just
we
work.
Even if we sell through that truck and don't make money, there's truckloads that we don't make money.
Yeah.
We have to do the work for negative, but it averages out. Law of averages.
Most of their customers are resellers, though they do have a small public store.
I think our biggest sellers are everyday items that people use in their homes. It's not electronics, it's not tools, it's everyday items that everybody has.
What's the best surprise that you ever had?
I had an iPhone. I found an iPhone before.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the biggest disappointment you've had?
Mayonnaise.
Mayo or not, the liquidation business is evolving and gaining interest.
Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, it's this energetic print plate. Oh, this is so not exciting. Boo!
Even unboxing these mysteries online is a job itself. But for most of us, liquidation shopping is best served with eyes wide open.
It's not for everybody. Everybody don't understand the ins and outs of it, but there are pros and cons of it. But if you like deals and want to save money, this is the way to go.
In St. Peter's, Michelle Lee, 5 on your side. All right, so you can also buy mystery boxes called coffin boxes. Those are not quite as big as a pallet, but they are a lot of fun for those white elephant gifts. All right, finally, some fun and seasonal changes at City SC, who is upping their food game this season. The City SC announced there will be 4 new food options at the park. They're adding Taco Buddha, Biscuit Town, Motor Town Pizza, and Goshen Coffee. The team says the additions will help boost business for the park and even for local restaurants. And by the way, the home opener is Saturday, February 21st against Charlotte FC. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for watching Michelle on the Money. For more money stories like these, be sure to join me every day on Today in St. Louis starting at 4:30 in the morning. We'll see you again next weekend right here on the KSDK streaming app.